And speaking of FGC people, I also wanted to make a mention of For Honor.
Yes.
Yeah.
For Honor is something, I made a little mention of it in the original cut of the video. But yeah, it wasn't like very in-depth or anything. But this is a very interesting game that I think deserves a little bit of time talking about.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned and transitioned from the FGC people is that one of the veteran FGC member, a very top competitor in the Street Fighter 4 series, Edma, had taken part in the combat design.
Yes.
heard.
Edma is also a multi-fighting game player. He's an OG. You can find him in these old VHS tapes of him playing like Marvel and all these games. So he's somebody who's kind of taken his fighting game knowledge and brought it into development.
If I were to give a short introduction, for those who may not be familiar with him, he has had, in terms of competition results, third in Evo. Yeah.
Okay.
For Street Fighter 4.
Nice.
Guess who the top 2 was?
Wait, what year was that?
2009.
2009. That was Justin Wong and Daigo, right?
Yeah, Edma was third.
He was number 3.
That's
okay.
how good he was.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And for this part as well, I just want to travel back in time. We have a clip of Edma playing against Daigo.
Really?
We can just watch this a little bit and kind of see if the 2009 meta is any similar to the current meta.
Okay, wow,
Yeah.
you really prepared this. All right. Awesome.
Shout outs to Edma, by the way. He's a good friend of ours. We see him every Evo.
Oh, yeah. No, he's
chat to him.
he's always in the Hawaii Salty Suite, and we always talk about game design.
Yes.
So it's great. But yeah, here's the
So
the
this
clip.
is the winners finals of Evo 2009.
Okay.
Edma versus Daigo.
Yeah, this is a long time ago.
This is a relic.
2009. This is a relic now, yeah.
So that's the thing, right? We, or most people in the fighting games community, may have heard about Daigo versus Justin Wong
Yeah.
in 2009 Evo.
Yeah.
Not many people have heard about, in comparison, about Edma. But I think it's important to highlight people like Edma.
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, this is actually fascinating to me because it's like, it's like the Daigo Perry moment where you don't, nobody saw the grand finals. They saw the Perry moment.
Yes.
In that match, but
So Edma, popularly known as the Akuma player,
yeah.
and Daigo, of course, the Ryu. See, that thing is so broken. He could air fireball on the downwards arc of the jump,
Yeah.
so he can delay the landing.
Yeah.
You can nowadays, if you do that, you just land right away.
Yeah.
So that was a really strong thing about Akuma back in the day. Sadly, Akuma back in the day and now, known as the glass cannon,
Yes.
very low health, right?
Yeah.
Low forwards. We have focus attacks.
Yeah, boy, Edma already life deficit huge.
Yeah. Cannot afford to make any mistakes
Yeah.
with a low health character, but at the same time,
Yeah.
I think most people's understandings were, you're gonna die quick anyway. May
Yeah.
as well attack like a maniac.
Now, this is really interesting to watch because this is an Akuma that isn't like crazy with like Vortex setups. The Vortex setup Akuma didn't come until later in Street Fighter 4's life, it seems.
Yeah. This is the first year of Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, people aren't exactly
So-
sure. Like, they're kind of playing this more like older Street Fighter games in a lot of
Yeah.
ways.
So still, a lot of things have been undiscovered, very raw.
Yeah.
This is the era before setups. This is
Yeah.
more about your pure reactions, your instincts,
Yeah.
and your past experiences as a fighting game player.
Yeah, there wasn't as much tech that was discovered. I'm sure option selects were still kind of just being developed at the time.
Yeah, and I don't think option selects were even common. Like, I believe there was an era where option selects existed, but people hid the tech from each other.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That was save it for the Nationals era, right?
So I'll fast forward to the last bit.
Okay. Oh.
And for those who are listening or watching, yeah, Edma has done really well in other fighting games too, so definitely check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, he's
Look at that.
oh,
See how
okay,
broken that is?
yeah, DP.
Low
Yep.
arc EX fireball.
Oh,
of course he wakes up
the cancel.
DPs.
Yeah, this is so Street Fighter 4 really broke the rules of the wake up DP. Oh, okay.
Solar plexus, run away. Oh, the anti-air sweep.
Yeah, he just caught him throwing fireballs in the air. That's that's a blast from the past. That's it's a very different kind of Street Fighter.
Yeah.
It's a very different kind of Street Fighter 4 as well.
Even for Street Fighter 4.
Yeah, because remember that was the first Evo that had Street Fighter 4, and there were so many years afterwards, and now you're kind of seeing like a different point in the game's life. And I think this is with like any game that's been played for a very long time. The meta will change, but then patches and updates will change. And so if you look at like obviously if you look at Street Fighter 2, like just Street Fighter 2 Turbo,
Right.
and you see Tomo Ihira playing that versus like ST, it's a completely different game.
Yeah. Even Tomo Ira does mention he did cross-ups before cross-ups were a thing.
Yeah.
And he just understood it as just jumping in really deep.
Yeah,
right?
which is like
That's all he needed to know.
Yeah.
And then eventually just became the cross-up that we know today.
Yeah, it became a huge part of fighting games. And
Sure.
but
And
yeah,
just I wanted to show that clip real quick to give you guys a sense of how involved Edma was both in the competition environment as well as his take and understanding of how important like the understanding of fighting games work mechanically, right?
yes.
Yeah, and him being involved in combat design of For Honor, and then eventually, or fast forward to the present, he is also involved in 2XKO alongside some of the other fighting game veterans too. So my question is, knowing that these fighting games and other games that will potentially release in the future can involve some of our friends in the tournaments and big names that we know that we watch from the streams involved in game design or the artwork maybe, or even the community management side of things. Would this be an assurance that our games will be good? Or would there be any concerns that these people are more working towards the development side of things rather than being a competitor?
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. If these like top players like that are part of the community, if they can be good for the development of a game, and I think there's different schools of thought with this. I think if you're trying to make a completely new kind of innovative game that hasn't really been tried before, something like ARMS, for example, I think a game like that would require a lot of people from kind of outside of your typical fighting game community, or just outside of gaming communities even. I think I remember a quote in an interview with I believe it was Shigeru Miyamoto, who's a very, very famous person from Nintendo, who basically was saying that that he looked for people who were kind of outside of this gaming world.
That's
to
reasonable.
To have input on how to make a game, because they're the ones that have a fresh mind and a fresh perspective of how they can make a novel thing for people to enjoy. But I feel that when it comes to, if you're going to make like an archetypal game, if you're going to make something that comes from the tradition of the Street Fighters and the Tekkens or whatever, or even like platform games, if you're coming from a tradition of Smash, then you want somebody that can understand that kind of stuff. For example, like Rivals 2, or Rivals of Aether, even if you go to the first one, that game is definitely made by people who understood Smash on a competitive level.
At least have played for a bit.
Yeah, and you
Good
can't,
or not, just experienced enough to know.
Yeah, but you can't make a game like that if you don't, understand what ledge guarding is. If you don't understand these kind of concepts, you can't really have the right kind of conversations to develop that kind of stuff. So, in the case of in the type of game that's being made in 2XKO, that game is very much like we talked about it in our video. It's kind of in between anime and versus type games. And it makes sense that you would have people like Apology Man and Clockwork.
Nerd Josh.
Yeah, Nerd Josh. Yeah. And
these people have been around in our FGCs, and they played many, many games, participated in tournaments, and did really well in them too.
Yeah.
Clockwork being legend in Marvel 2 and 3.